This is why these two specific by-elections matters. The primaries are coming on September 20th. And this is the reason why just two by-elections out of the 27 that is being carried across the nation might really matter for the Kenya Kwanza government ahead of 2027 election. So let's revisit the one we discussed recently at Mbeere North. Something happened in Mbeere North, and today we can discuss it extensively. Justin Muturi, who is a principal within the United Opposition, is the principal party leader of the Democratic Party. This particular party does not have a member of parliament right now. Prior to now, they only had one member of parliament. And the one member of parliament that was affiliated to the Democratic Party was from Mbeere North. His name was Honorable Griffins Ruku. Now, Ruku has since left the position as a member of parliament. And the reason why Ruku has left that position, as we detailed in our previous episode, is because Ruku is serving as a CS of Public Service and Human Development in the national government currently. Ruku serving within the national government means that he is more closely affiliated to the UDA party right now than he is to the Democratic Party that brought him to power. So now, within Mbeere North is a contestation that represents the national figure but is being contested at the ground level. In the national aspect, the win for UDA from the Mbeere North constituency makes Kindiki look good and secures a position for Kindiki in 2027 as the second right man of William Ruto. This is why Mbeere constituency is very close to Tharaka Nithi. And the DCP party, that's the Democratic of Citizens Party of Rigathi Gachagua, has been celebrated as taking a toll of the mountain region. The DCP party is not fronting a candidate right now, but the united opposition with Justin Muturi within it is part of the entire arrangement or a broader arrangement of the DCP party. So if a candidate that is supported by the government, Leonard Muriuki, wins, then Kindiki wins. And that confirms that Kindiki still has a grip of his backyard, which can sustain his position within the power arrangement that he has with Ruto right now come 2027. But this war is not being fought between Kindiki and Rigathi Gachagua at Mbeere North. No, it is being played by Justin Muturi against Ruku. So why would Justin Muturi pit himself against Ruku after making Ruku as an individual, bringing Ruku to the national limelight through his party as his only member of parliament with his party? Right now, critics say that the Mbeere North result will be based on clanism than on national policies. So let's come down to clanism. Lenny Kivuti, who is actually influential figure within that region, is in cohort with a gentleman called Justin Muturi to front one candidate. The candidate that both Lenny Kivuti and Justice Muturi are fronting is Newton Karish, who is actually an MCA serving under the party of Lenny Kivuti. But Newton Karish is going to vie under the party of Justin Muturi. Ruku has to defend government policies even if he was serving as a member of parliament under the Democratic Party. And that way, he has to ensure that Leonard Muriuki, who is being sponsored by the government as a UDA candidate, wins the seat at Mbeere North. Ruku winning through Leonard Muriuki, a seat that he held through the DCP party, makes Kindiki look good. But Lenny Kivuti and Justin Muturi are from different clans. Justin Muturi is from the Ndamata clan within the Mbeere region. Lenny Kivuti and Ruku comes from the Tagara clan from the same Mbeere region. So it could be said that if clanism is going to play a key role than national political alignment, then the Ndamata clan that supports Justin Muturi will rally behind Justin Muturi. And the Thagara clan that has both Ruku and Leni Kivuti will divide the votes alongside Ruku and Leni Kivuti, with the votes of Leni Kivuti joining with the Ndamata clan becomes the majority win from that region. But this particular clanism assessment does not put into consideration one key factor, that the distangled and the enraged Duncan Mbui, who was supposed to run with the DCP party ticket and has now been blocked from running under that ticket, comes from the biggest ward within the Mbeere North constituency that has around 28,000 votes, the Vurore ward. And if this particular ward was to rally behind their independent MCA currently for the Mbeere North constituency position, then over 20,000 votes would be lost both to from Newton Karish and also from Leonard Miruki. It means over 20 to 28,000 votes would rally behind their independent candidate, and this would be at the detriment of the opposition. So it's a tight race. The government and its supporters are rallying behind Leonard Miruki to the extent that 7 aspirants have stepped down to support him. Resources coming from the government is being channeled to this gentleman who is new into politics, and Kindiki's interest is heavy behind him. DCP party have to maintain their face. Because they are not running for this position, they have not fronted a candidate. A loss would not paint them bad personally, but a loss would paint the united opposition bad. And the grip of Rigathi Gachagua to rally support even for Justin Muturi within the mountain region would be questioned. So this is why the by-election at Mbeere North constituency is important, not as a local by-election, but because it has a ripple effect nationally. And the ripple effect it has nationally is whether Kindiki is still with the grip of his backyard, or whether Rigathi Gachagua still keeps the mountain collectively. That we will see on 20th of September. Now, this aside, Mudavadi is also on the spot. Because as you remember, prior to Kindiki replacing Rigathi Gachagua, loyal leaders were in conversation with the president to adopt Mudavadi as number 2. Mudavadi was not adopted. But then Mudavadi did not take this negatively. He went on to dispense his mandate within the arrangement that he has with Ruto very willfully, very dutifully, and very diligently. People have said that even him folding the ANC party and having certain members of his party subsume leadership within the UDA party is a show of his loyalty and his preparation ahead of 2027. Ruto has pulled Mudavadi very close. Very, very close, that you might say that if Kindiki was not sitting right there, it would be Mudavadi sitting right there. Or perhaps very close that you would say that Kindiki is sitting there ceremoniously while Mudavadi is the actual number 2. So 2027 is going to level this gentleman. Kindiki will have served those years that will have served after Rigathi Gachagua, dealing with the hate and supporting the government within the mountain region as the bait that has been created with William Ruto to restore that region. Mudavadi, on the other hand, will be presenting his loyal, diligent and honest service alongside a collective western region to support William Ruto. And this is going to play very importantly for William Ruto, because if the mountain region do not play book, his only recourse is the western region and the Muslim community. So if Kindiki does not prove with just a minor by-election in Mbeere North that he has grip of his backyard, then this will be the beginning of deterioration for him ahead of 2027. Mudavadi knows this. And so for that reason, Mudavadi has not fronted a candidate in Malava constituency. His approach is to support the UDA candidate that has been fronted in the Malava region. This UDA candidate fronted in Malava has the same thorn in flesh that the candidates in Mbeere North have, the DCP party. And again in Malava, the deputy party leader Cleophas Malala is supporting a gentleman called Bernard Egesa with the DCP party. The The DCP party, this is their first time to front certain candidates. Actually, this is their first time to actually front candidates. So they're enthusiastic. They're investing in these particular by-elections, and they're supporting their candidates so that they can entrench their roots within the ground. The UDA party needs the Western region to show that they still have a grip of the Western region collectively. Mudavadi needs it very specifically because if he can show that he has a grip of the Western region, and if by any chance Kindiki loses on the Mbeere North constituency by election, then come 2027, Ruto would easily pick Mudavadi over Kindiki. So as we said again, these particular by-elections might be local, but they have a national ripple effect. And the national ripple effect that these two specific by-elections have puts either Kindiki or Mudavadi on the spot on who will become the second-hand man for William Ruto within the Kenya Kwanza government should they form government post-2027. And so that's the main deal. That's the issue with these two by-elections, and come the end of 28th September primaries, we will know whose political career is brightening and whose political career is dwindling between those two gentlemen in line of the second term of William Ruto should he get it come 2027. So that aside, let's take a look at our main story, being the Constitutional Amendment Bill. The Constitutional Amendment Bill that was introduced by the Nandi Senator Honorable Cherigai had previously certain issues in it that caused outrage among the Kenyan people. What it had previously, before this current leak that we have seen as the current state of the bill, was a recommendation to extend the presidential term to 7 years, limited to 2 terms. So the president was supposed to serve for 7 years for the first term and 7 years for the second term. When this suggestion was made by Cherigai, then there was backlashes and people attacked Senator Cherigai for that suggestion. Now these discussions are back. Shortly after we celebrated 15 years of the Constitution of Kenya being within the Kenyan environment, new and solid and progressive, we are seeing the reforms to amend it coming back. Now, these are the myths. The myth is that the current bill extends the presidential term to 7 years. That is a myth. That is not contained anywhere within the bill. What is contained within the bill is a need to extend the MCA's term by 7 years. So let's start here. These drafters are being very clever, and they are not starting from the biggest elephant in the room, extending the presidential term to 7 years. No. They are starting with a piecemeal legislation within the bill that is extending the MCA's term to 5 years. And from extending the MCA's term to 5 years, they will now have an avenue to amend all these other provisions that if an MCA can stay for 5 years, then why can't an MP? Or why can't a women rep? Why can't a senator? Why can't a governor? Or extensively, why can't a president? So just like a bottom-up economy that they are under, they are not trickling it down from the top anymore, but they're giving it an approach of a bottom-up economy. They are starting from the MCA, and once the 2/3 majority of the National Assembly and the 2/3 majority of the Senate allows it, it becomes law. From that particular moment, they will have now an avenue to even amend other provisions with that amendment of the MCA's term as precedent for these subsequent amendments. Within this bill is also the addition of revenue to county governments. The Senate now allocates, or rather the national government allocates a total of 15% of the national revenue to the county governments. But we have seen contestation coming from governors that certain services of the counties cannot run. Number one, because the resources that come from national governments to county governments are limited. And number two, because the resources that come from national government to county governments delay. So within this new bill, there's a suggestion that the allocation be increased from 15% to 40% of the total revenue being allocated to devolution county governments. We will see how this plays, how the national government would want to defend themselves against this requirement, now that the NGCDF is also in contestation to be scrapped off from the National Assembly, specifically from the members of parliament themselves. So there is that suggestion to increase the allocation from 15% to 40% in this bill. Another suggestion is to increase the strength of the Senate compared to the way it looks right now. So when it comes to appointments of CSS, appointments of Attorney General, appointment of these key positions, the bill requires the Senate to do the vetting instead of the National Assembly. And for the National Assembly, it's left for ambassadors and high commissioners and such like thing. Because the Senate is a close-knit house of around 68 members, and the National Assembly is a very huge house of around over 290 members. This requirement has been taken both positively and negatively with different sections of Kenyans. Others feel it's easy to manipulate the Senate, and we saw that with the allegations that they were paid over 10 million to see Rigathi Gachagua out. So it's easy to manipulate the Senate because of the numbers that are limited. And so if you put all vetting of these key positions to the Senate, then you are opening manipulations to these key vetting opportunities. That is, if the Senate is corrupt. For the National Assembly, irrespective of the numbers, we have seen that they vote sometimes, for lack of a better word, as pigs. They are told what to do and they do it without question. So even if the numbers are high, and you could say maybe compromising them could be difficult, we have seen that it's in a house that is easily compromised. So these Kenyans feel like that perhaps then these key positions need to be vetted by the Senate instead of the National Assembly. These other issues of extending the presidential term limit, as we have said, is a myth, and the bill is leaked. It has not been tabled. However, Okiya Omtata has come out to say clearly that the bill, even after being rejected, is still going on to committee stage and these other stages. So we'll wait to see whether or not this bill will be tabled. And if it's tabled, the discussions that will come out of it. But until then, the extension of the presidential term that existed previously when Cherargei suggested it has now taken a bottom-up set from being an extension of the presidential term to an extension of the MCA term. These tactics are not new in Kenyan political scene, and here at the Civic Lens we keep our lenses steady to witness them as they occur and report them to you impartially. This is the Civic Lens.